Now let's say I want to create a custom greeting for my girlfriend or my boyfriend. I want to tell them that marigold is for you. Okay. So let's say I want to add a custom text here that will show up alongside here. And this custom text has to be present instead of career ninja as well. So here I just have to write the name of my girlfriend. So let's say if I write something that is entirely random, let's say HDP. I want this HDP kind of text to display for this component right here as well as alongside this marigold. But now this marigold dude has no idea what HTTP is. So there must be some way how I can pass this text from this app.js component to the roast day component. Okay, so how we are exactly going to be doing that is using a concept that is known as props. P-R-O-P-S, props. Props means a way in which you can transfer your variables or you can conduct your variables between one component and its children components. Since roast day is present inside the app component, so the roast day component is a child of the parent component of the app.js component. So now if I want to add this variable name here to roast day, what I'm going to do is I'll be creating an attribute. Remember, those for those of you who are aware of HTML syntax, this is an attribute. Like in HTML, we have attributes like right, left, position. Similarly, this is an attribute that is known, or SRC for images. Similarly, we have this attribute called name, and in here we are going to be specifying HTTP. Okay. Now I'll go back to the roastday.jsx component and I want to display this marigold is for you. And here I want to write the name that has come from that component or the name for my girlfriend or my boyfriend. So what I'm going to do instead here is I'll be writing something that is props dot name. Oops, ignore this intelligence. It's a little bit crazy. Props dot name. You can see that it is throwing an error thus far that it is unable to find props. So what I'm instead going to do here is I'm going to pass props. I'm going to tell that this function or this functional component accepts a parameter that is known as props. Now, as you can see, this marigold is for you HTTP. To reiterate, what we have done is we have taken a variable from this component and we have passed it to another component entirely. And how do we access that variable here? We accept a parameter that is known as props and we access it using props.name, wherein the name variable is this one. If I were to add another prop here, let's say property equal to, let's say beautiful. Then I can just say you are very props dot beautiful. Sorry, not beautiful, props dot property. So as you can see, the text now changes to you are very beautiful. Where exactly is this beautiful coming from? It is coming as a prop from the parent component. So to reiterate, props allows you to transfer variables between the parent component and the children components. Finally, one last concept that we have to quickly learn is the concept of state. So let's say that instead of beautiful, I want to give my girlfriend different definitions. So let's say instead of beautiful, if there is a button that is clicked, I want to call her smart. I want to call her talented. I want to call her a lot of different variables. And I want this to happen at the click of a button. So what I do is I do something known as property, comma, set property equal to use state. Beautiful. Instead of writing beautiful here, I'm going to be giving this the variable name of property. Here, I'll be adding a button here. This is a simple HTML button. Change the property is what the button is going to show. And on click, what the button is going to do will say set property to smart. So now if I click on it, it will change to you are very smart. If you want to see it once again, the marigold is for you, HTTP, you are very beautiful. And if I click on change the property, it will immediately change to you are very smart. Now what exactly just happened here? Instead of hard coding a name here, so let's say this name called initially it was beautiful. I have instead created a variable that is property. Now we will use this property and we'll make changes to it in real time. So whenever this button is clicked, so this functionality tells us that what should we do when the button is clicked. So when this button is clicked, it is going to set that property to smart. This is a function name that is going to allow you to change this property. So I'll tell it set property smart. Initially it was beautiful, and then when we click on it, it will change to smart. So this is the concept of a state variable. What state is that it is a variable that is associated with a particular component that will make sure that even after repeated function calls, the outcome is as expected. So that means that you can use this state anywhere inside this entire component. So that means that if you were to print something here, if I were to write here property, and it would show beautiful. And when I click on it, it would change to smart. So that means that a state variable can be used entirely throughout the component. All right. So component, state, and props, these form about 70 to 80% of the React ecosystem. So JSX is something that we had already covered, and components, state, and prop. These are the core most defining features of the React framework. And if you have a clear basic understanding of React, of component states and props, you would be able to understand and build React applications very easily. I'm as confident that starting as soon as tonight, you will be able to build decent enough React applications. This is the core concept of React. Did you notice how easily we were able to do a lot of stuff without actually worrying about how it happens? I just told it that when this button is clicked, it should set the property to smart. I actually did not have to care about how it's happening. When I told it that I wanted this property to be displayed here, I just gave it the name property. I did not care about how it would find out what property was. So this is the advantage of a framework like React, which means that it abstracts away a lot of the functionality, it runs it in the background, and it gives you the output that you desire. So that is the advantage of using frameworks that are based in JavaScript.